Hello everyone, it is Joel Davis with YouAreTheBroker.com, helping you to build a highly effective and highly profitable broker business. You guys have been sending some awesome emails since I published our P&L for last year. I posted that last month, and many of you have come up with some awesome questions. Some of them have been somewhat repetitive, but not a problem. We're happy to help in answering your questions. So what I told Amelia to do is compile, a top 10 list, the most common questions she's getting, and I would do my best to answer them. I apologize for taking so long to put this together, as A, I've been busy as heck, and B, we're still dealing with some health issues with my mother, so I have been busy and distracted, to say the least. So Amelia sent me over a great list, and I kind of reconfigured them a little bit so that there's a little bit more continuity in how I answer them. So for those of you who have been interested in or considering starting your own broker business, which I would definitely encourage, everybody to, even if you're not going to start a broker business that's in a similar manner, like YouAreTheBroker.com and my business, I would tell you want to get involved in something where you are in the position to broker out work, so you're not carrying all the overhead burden and expenses, especially right now with so many different prices and variables fluctuating in the current climate that we find ourselves in. Everything from fuel, insurance, and everything, you want to make sure that you put yourself in the best possible position. So if you are able to leverage some type of a broker business in your portfolio to continue to generate positive cash flow without carrying the associated overhead burdens and expenses, that is an ideal situation. Then when you get one that's making you money, boom, that's your, I call it my NFL money, because I make more money doing this than I did way back in the day when I was bouncing around the NFL. So anyways, let me dive in. First question, can you explain why a contractor would want to join my broker business? More specifically, why do contractors need us? Great question. Very good question. And I'm going to try to be somewhat delicate in how I answer this so I don't offend people. I know that I tend to not hold any punches, so I can easily offend people, but I'm going to try not to here. The thing is you gotta step back and look at this business from a micro perspective. And when you look at contractors, and when you're engaging contractors and you're working to bring them on, especially if they're contractors already in business. And I've mentioned this in plenty of videos before, many of you have probably seen it, where you'll talk with some contractors, guys who already have their own box truck, cargo van, things like that, trailers, enclosed trailers. They're already doing a type of service and work, and they're gonna tell you, "Oh, I'm my own business owner. I've been doing it for 30 years." All right, Ralph, you've been doing it for 30 years, and you personally are still doing it. My point is this: so many of these guys out there, they're gonna tell you, "I'm in business for myself." No. You got your own job. You own your own job. You don't have a business. If you don't get up and go work, there's not going to be anything. The problem is so many of these contractors, regardless of all the hype they're going to give you, they don't know how to grow and scale. But you do. That's the whole purpose. So if you're considering this broker business, I'm under the assumption, I'm assuming that you're serious about growing and scaling. So many of these contractors, they can't grow and scale. They're literally doing the work themselves. Whether they're doing a delivery, a move job, some type of assembly, if they're out there repairing something, or they're literally doing it themselves, or maybe they have a small crew, 1 or 2 guys working for. And look, there is nothing wrong with that. Nothing. My entire broker business is comprised of those people. Bottom line. Well-intentioned, hardworking, sincere, honest, want to do a great job. But they don't know how to grow and scale. And so if they're busy doing the actual work themselves, how do they market? Where do they market? Who handles their admin? These are all tasks that further burden them. So just as they start to grow, they plateau quickly Maybe they bring one or two on. Maybe they get a second truck, or they get a friend. They outsource certain, whatever. But they get to a point in time where they plateau. They don't go any further. They don't know how to grow and scale. And that's where you come in. That's where I come in and teaching you how we did it. Using the youarethebroker.com methodology. So you have now, I mean, if you look at my broker business, it's comprised of all those individual contractors, bottom line. Do all of them own their own business? Well, if you ask them, they'll tell you. Most of them will tell you, not all of them. What will happen is in time, and this happens repeatedly, you'll bring on a contractor, you'll meet with them, and I've been doing this for 30 years, I've been doing this for 10 years. Here's my business card, I've been doing this for 10 years, I'm the old pro, I'm the expert. And they'll go out, and they want to meet with customers, they want to give out their own business card. But once you're able, you start reaching that tipping point as you build, grow, and scale. And you're able to start providing them with more work orders. You're answering the phone. So now you become their admin. So you got your own staff that answers phone. So you're out there marketing your business. They're getting a steady paycheck, if you will. But it's commission. They want that. It's kind of like a quasi situation. They own their own business. They're their own independent contractor. But at the same time, they really love the benefits of being affiliated with your business because they're going to get that paycheck deposit every single week. They're going to get, they don't have to answer the phones. If there is a problem, this is notorious. Independent contractors, ask any of them in any industry, they're going to tell you they're notorious. The problem they always face is they'll perform work for somebody, and a lot of times, depending on the type of industry, the type of work they do, so many times there's a problem when it comes time for payment. Oh, I didn't know it was going to be that much. Oh, well, do you take credit card? No, I don't. Cash or check. Oh, I don't have enough cash. Oh, you don't process card? There's always a or they want to negotiate afterwards, especially when you get involved in type of move jobs or haul offs, and it takes longer. Because a customer, they're going to see a job. Oh, take it 20 minutes. Yeah, well, 2 hours later, and then they don't want to pay it. Contractors will tell you time and time again that is one of their biggest fears with every single job. They perform the work and they live in fear that they get stiffed. And sometimes maybe they don't get stiffed, maybe they get paid, but they don't get a tip. Now, tips are great. Our contractors make a lot of money. I would actually argue that we pay our contractors a lot of money. I'm gonna be honest with you, and I'm not even saying. So when you looked at my P&L last month when I published that, I pay my guys a lot because we're in the position where we can, and I want them to be happy, and we're moving. That's what I want. Now, you starting out, you may want to get a better ratio. You may want to be at like a 60-40 split. Whereas I'll start guys at 65 and I start bumping them up incrementally. Now, some of my top guys for like Express, I'm literally giving them 80% because I know what I get, and I'd rather take a smaller margin and have the guaranteed money knowing that they're going to regulate that show and the work is going to be done top shelf. But they've been with me for a long time. So it makes sense for me. Starting out, would you do that? No, absolutely not. You wouldn't do that. But again, my guys, man, they make a lot of money in tips too, cash tips a lot of times. But going back to my point, so many contractors live in fear they're not going to get paid. Now, you as the broker, you're out there hustling, building the work, building the network, putting them in the position where you're just loading them up with work orders. They're going to love you, and what you'll see, what you'll find is, back in the day when you first met with them, they slide their business card across the table and they tell you who and what they are, this and that. What you find is that over time, when they're making more money with you in your network, because remember, keep things in perspective. You're building a network, they're performing work. They can't grow and scale because they're operating independently and they're providing the service. They're providing the work. You're not. You're building every day. You're going out building. Every single day they're working. Most important point I could stress to you today, the difference between you and your contractors are working, you're building. They're working, you're building. They can't grow and scale, they're too busy working. You grow and scale because you're building. Bottom line, if you take anything away from this video, I'm sure it's going to be lengthy because I got a bunch of questions to go through. You take away, they work, you build. That's the difference. That's why they need you. Bottom line. Now, do you need them? Of course you do. There's no business without them. But I'm going to be honest with you, a lot of them are replaceable. It is what it is. But what you're going to find is a lot of these contractors who on day one, when you're meeting them, interviewing them, they're going to slide their business card across the table and, Ralph's Moving Service or whatever it is. In time, when they start making real money, they're not even going to waste their time with that. They are so not going to waste their time with that. They're going to be building and promoting your company, your broker business. They're going to be giving out your business cards, your marketing materials. They're going to be giving those out because they know you're their feeder source. And again, it's that quasi scenario. They get to go home feeling good that they own their own business. They can choose what work orders they want, make their own hours. Let them feel that way. Awesome. Awesome. That's what I want. The happier you are, the better you're going to perform, the more money you're going to make, which means the more money I want to make. Win-win situations. It's the biggest thing about this business. You as a broker, they're working your building, and you're building win-win situations. So as you can tell, I already went off on a tangent. I'm sure I'm going to go off on many more. So let me keep pushing forward. I'm sure some of this is all going to tie together. Is your broker business more like a staffing agency? Good question. That's kind of unique. I haven't heard that one before. I could kind of see initially where you come up with that parallel of a staffing agency in your broker business, but I would tell you, no, you're different. I don't know enough about I know enough about staffing agencies, but I don't know all the intricate details. I've never owned one. I know people who hire employees from staffing agencies, things like that. I would argue we're not a staffing agency. A lot of these staffing agencies, they're paying everything from the workers' comp and other associated benefits on behalf of the employees of the staffing agency. We don't do that. We don't do that. So if that is a situation with a traditional staffing agency, no question. We are not a staffing agency. We are not harvesting people and then outsourcing the people per se to go out there and serve as a employee. If you want to look at it like we're harvesting contractors and then we outsource the contractors, okay, there's a parallel there. I can get that. I can see that correlation there, that parallel. I could go that far. But I would argue, no, we're not a traditional staffing agency. Every single one of our contractors are 1099. Our dispatchers, they're 1099. I'm going to be honest right now, they all work from home. Every single one of our dispatchers. We have right now the ability to have 6 people at any point in time. So we always keep 2 people on. And both of them will work from 10 to 5, that 7-hour window, because that's the most important window. That's that we have found over years that staffing the phones earlier is kind of no utility for us. We really found the sweet spot to be that 10 to 5 time frame. After that, people can go online and book a work order, leave us messages. Our team will call them back. But even our people who answer the phones, I have a crew that will go Monday through Friday, and then I have people who will do it on the weekends, and I have people who could serve as a backup when necessary. But relatively speaking, we're 7 days a week, 10 to 5. Obviously, we don't do Christmas or Thanksgiving. Again, going back to your great question, are we like a staffing agency? I can see where the parallel is on certain things, but overall I would say no. If you're really trying to understand the core concepts of what we do as a broker, I would tell you don't get hung up on the methodology of a staffing agency, because we definitely are not. Everybody we use are 1099 contractors. The other caveat to that is, and I've mentioned this in other videos, we will only have our contractors on our books. So if we have John Doe Contractor on our books and he gets Timmy as his helper, well, I don't pay Timmy. So John Doe pays Timmy out of his own dime. That's his own arrangement, whatever. And I've mentioned in previous videos, we have some contractors who further outsource some of our work orders to their own employees, if you will, or their own helpers. And I don't care as long as the work gets done. Now, if there's a problem, I'm going to regulate it, and I'll regulate it fast. But some of our guys have been with us so long, we don't really have that problem. Now, how do I know that they're further subbing out some of our work orders? They're almost serving like their own broker. I mean, they really are. Because they've told us. And number one. And number two, we assign them work orders. And I know for an absolute fact there's no way you could be in two places at one time. It's an absolute impossibility. So even if you didn't tell us and we see that you're accepting our work orders, because our software system, Fetch Mazo, will make suggestions. So when a work order comes in, the software system has all these algorithms, and part of that is based on location, time, availability, your service rating, your compliance rating, things like that. So it's automatically going to make suggestions. And if I see that you're accepting 2 work orders in a close time interval, close period of time, it's kind of easy for me to see that you're either working really, really fast or you're subbing out work. And again, some of our guys have told us, because we have a good relationship, and they talk to us, they talk to my RDs, and I'm cool with all that, as long as the work gets done properly. So my point is, we do not pay for subs. So we pay our contractors. Any helpers they get, or if they sub it, that's on them. That's on them. And I know for a fact some guys do that. I got no problem with it. They know what we expect. They know what our criteria is. As long as they meet what we need and our expectations, I'm cool with it. Where do I find contractors? Great question. You know, I'm going to be honest with you. Back in the day, when I was first starting out, we're talking late 2011-ish, we found a lot of good people over the years on something as simple as Craigslist. And I always tell people like to crap on Craigslist a lot, and I totally get it, because there is a lot of nonsense. And I tell people, look, it's one of those things that you get, you put out an ad to get some contractors out there, and you include your criteria, things like that. You may get 30 people who respond. Of the 30, 10 of them may be viable. You'll talk to 5, interview 3, you're going to hire 1 or 2. It's a process, and there's nothing wrong with that. Now, what I will tell you is that we haven't done that. Well, I take that back. We actually did that fairly recently, only because we were kind of moving into a newer area. But we really don't do that anymore, because now we're at a point in time. Consider, we launched in very late 2011, so we've been in this game a long time. Our reputation speaks for itself. And now everybody we get overall, I'm making a gross generalization because, like I say, we just posted an ad recently. But we really don't need to advertise. Everything is word of mouth. And back in the day, and again, I've shared this in plenty of videos before. Back in the day, literally, when we were first launching, I literally would go out, meet with guys, have lunch with them, have breakfast. Guys, I've met them at their house, had great conversations. Some will promise you the world. And they, I could do this, I could do that, and they do nothing. You're going to experience that. It is what it is. The good thing about this is that because they're all 1099 contractors, when someone doesn't work out, I call it turn off the spigot. You just stop giving them work orders. If you have a problem with an employee, you got to do the counseling. You got to do it by the book, because they'll go to the Department of Labor and try to hem you up if you don't do it by the book. In this type of an industry, you just turn off the spigot. I'm not giving you any more work orders. I got a problem with you? Boom, done. It is what it is. It's just that easy. Who are you going to complain to? What are you going to do? Doesn't matter. But anyways, the good thing is that success breeds success. It's compounding success. When you got a guy who's making $1,000 a week, $2,000 a week, $3,000 a week, do you not think that all his friends are going to want to do the same thing? His brother, his cousin, his uncle. We're at a point in time now, and this has long since been the case, where all of our contractors are just word of mouth. It's my friend, my brother. They come to us. And honestly, the easiest thing for us to do at that point in time is literally just show them a 1099. Okay, well, here's where you're located. Okay, well, over here in this city here, look at this guy right here. He just started with us 6 months ago. Here's his last paycheck. Here's his year to date. He's averaging $750 a week. That's more than you're making right now working over at Lowe's or wherever you're working. All right, he's making $1,200 a week. He's making $1,800 a week. That's more money than you're making where your current job, and you got more freedom and flexibility. How many contractors do I need? Man, it's a great question, and it's a logical question, but I mean, how many do I need for what? To start making money? Well, technically one, you could argue. Unless you're going to go out and do some work yourself and or help him, and I've seen some licensees do that. You know, when you study youarethebroker.com, I'm going to be honest with you, the whole premise behind it is to really build your business from my business model from the year 2014 to the present day, where everybody is 1099 contractor. When I first launched, I did not have them as contractors. I actually paid them. I paid them directly as like an employee. If there was work, if there wasn't work. And we were closing out at about 12%, not, making money, but not setting the world on fire. But I knew that I had to transition, but I had to get momentum, I had to get it going. And over from 2012 into 13, I started to actually bring on some contractors. So now I had a half contractor based, half employee based, if you will, type of arrangement. So when I first launched my business, I was just throwing money at this to see how it would work. What does, what doesn't work, how do I make it work, that type of deal. But then by 2014, everybody was a contractor. So the previous guys I had, we transitioned them. I owner financed. We had 3 box trucks. Owner financed those to the crews until they were paid off. They became 1099 contractors. Owner financed the vans to them, or the box trucks to them. By 2014, really by the end of 2013, everybody was 1099 contractor. But how many do you need? Well, how many do you need to start making money? Well, technically you could argue one. But the thing too is that there's so many different sources of revenue and so many ways to use different type of contractors in different places, different types of work orders. It's really how many do you want? How big of an area are you working? I know when you become an active licensee with youarethebroker.com, your agreement is based upon a zip code, but we don't care where you work. You could work as far as you want. We have some licensees that operate in 2 totally different states right now. That's awesome. That's phenomenal. The reason we use the zip code is to have some degree of exclusivity, some degree of separation, if you will. But we know that there's going to be some people who will do nothing with this, and we know some people who are going to take off with it, and it's awesome. So how many contractors do you need is very subjective. First, we got to identify what's need. Is it just making money to get started? Is it making $100,000? Is it making $500,000? Is it making $1 million a year? I mean, that's kind of subjective. But technically, just to get going, start making money, start gaining momentum and traction, and building relationships. I mean, not many, because remember, they're going to be doing the work. You're building. You're going to be out there building relationships, connecting. And that's the beautiful thing about, most of you know me from non-emergency medical transportation and the home care industry. There's obviously much, much more rules and regulations and structure and format, things to adhere to as compared to this broker business. This broker business is one of those things where you're limited by your motivation and creativity. Bottom line, you are limited by your motivation, creativity. The sky's the limit with this. I can do whatever I want. We have agreements with management companies that manage big apartment complexes. So we're able to get first rights of refusal and exclusive work out of there to do all their express moves. A lot of different creative things you could do. So the sky is the limit because there's so many different sources of revenue, number one. And number two, there's no regulation in what we're doing. So that's why I jokingly say it's kind of like the Wild Wild West, because who do I have to comply with? It's not like non-emergency medical transportation or home care, where if you're dealing with Medicaid or a broker, you got to comply with them, or if you're being regulated by DOT. Again, we're not doing long hauls. We're not doing freight, so we're not even falling into the threshold of having to carry the big money insurance, deal with DOT, interstate that. We don't even do it. There's a reason for it. And over the years, I've been solicited countless times to get involved in freight, and we just haven't, because I haven't had to. I mean, we keep growing. We're systematic growth. And 2020 was just crazy, because at one point in time, we were down 42%. For us to come back raging the way that we did, and kudos to a couple different reasons why, and we could talk about that in a little bit. But again, you are limited only by your motivation and creativity. If you're lazy, if you're one of those people, and let's not get it twisted, man. There are people out there, I'm a motivator, I'm a go-getter. No, you're not. You're lazy. You talk the talk, you don't walk the walk. I mean, you and I both know people like that. And they'll do the happy hour, and they're going to brag about this and that. And you know they're full of crap. Talk the talk, they don't walk the walk. I'm going to do this, and it just never seems to come to pass. They never seem to do it. Then there's an excuse. Oh, I couldn't do it because of this. Oh, I couldn't do it because of that. Oh, the planets weren't lined up properly, so it wasn't the right timing, or whatever they come up with. We all know there's people. And what happens? Time just passes them by. But, good question. How many contractors do I need? But you kind of left that a little open-ended. You don't need many to get going, that's for sure. Let me keep moving on. I'm sure, again, some of these questions are going to start tying into each other, so hopefully I'll be able to continue to paint a good picture for you. You can get a more firm understanding of what we're doing. If I am using 1099 contractors, could I save the expense of using a payroll service and just pay them directly? That was a good question. I actually had this not too long ago. I had that featured in another video, something similar to this. Yeah, I mean, technically, we use paychecks, and, I recommend paychecks. That's fine. It's not a problem. Their prices have definitely gone up. No question about that. The more employees you got, the more you got to pay. Can you pay them directly? Sure. And starting out, I would actually tell you, do that. Pay them directly. Now, back in the day when I was first starting, I didn't do that. I had a payroll service from the very beginning. But again, I launched my business initially in North Carolina, and I was in New York. The reason why I did that is because I was planning on moving out of New York. And then, I was in the process of literally moving. But then my mother got sick the first time with stage 3 colon cancer. So should we beat that? She said that's why I ended up staying here. Then I ended up meeting my wife. And on goes the story. But anyways, that's why my business initially started down south, as I was planning on moving out of the People's Republic in New York. So knowing that I'm doing this remotely and I had key people down there, and trust me, I was traveling down there all the time to manage my people, meet with people, and all that kind of stuff. So I kind of built it from afar, so therefore it behooved me, it was to my advantage to use a payroll service. It worked out great. The automation, take the money out of your account on Thursdays, deposit in their accounts on Fridays. They feel warm and fuzzy. They feel great. They get the guaranteed money, all that kind of good stuff. It was good for everybody. But technically, we pay a lot of money towards payroll for paychecks, but we have a lot of contractors. Do you need that from the very beginning? No. Now, if you had employees when you're doing the withholdings and all that stuff, 1,000,000%. 1,000,000% you need paychecks, not even close. But because you're using 1099 contractors, I'm going to argue that starting out you don't. Now, as you grow and things become more cumbersome, you get more people, then I would tell you want to consider that. Now, even if you don't use paychecks or some other type of payroll service or some type of a local payroll service, what is critical is that at the end of year, you at least get with your accountant and you make sure that he creates and issues 1099s for all your contractors. So if you're starting out with 2, 3, 4 contractors, do you need a payroll service? No, you can manage. You can just give them a check directly. I would always use a check. Don't use cash. Sometimes if you had to, only if you had a good relationship with them, but you're not going to. We don't collect a lot of cash. Only in very select circumstances have we collected cash. Back in the day, we did more, but now as we've grown and our policies and procedures have had to grow with us, we try to avoid cash as much as possible. By all means, if they want to give cash to our contractors for tips, and our guys, again, they make a lot of money in cash tips. That's one reason why they absolutely love this. You really got to take that into consideration. Your contractors are going to make great money in cash tips. Bottom line, I would argue that in some instances, it's almost like they make 100%. As in, let's say they just bought in $80. We did they got $80 on our split, and then they got $20 tip. They just made $100, $100, $105, $110. It's a win-win for them. Not everybody tips as much, but some people are very generous. So kudos to them. God bless them. But in still beating this dead horse, do you got to go with a payroll service? No, you can help keep your expenses down further by paying them directly. But the only major but I'm going to tell you is you got to make sure that your accountant issues them a 1099 at the end of the year. Bottom line, keep it above board. Make sure you issue the 1099 so they're responsible for their own taxes. Let's see here. I have some good prospective contractors who want to work, but they don't currently own a box truck. What can I do? Rent. Now, I'm telling you, I told you just a short time ago, we got some guys who are steady guys, still don't own their box truck, and they literally rent trucks. They literally will rent. We always tell them to try to go with Penske, at least where we are, because we found Penske to be a better price point as compared to like a U-Haul. But I mean, by all means, I'm sure prices fluctuate everywhere, as you could look at that. Now, if you only have a single delivery, does it behoove you to go out there and get rent a box truck? Probably not. Now, if you got a lot of them stacked up, which we will do. So for some of our more rural areas, we stack them up. We let them know we're only doing deliveries on a Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. So our guys know in advance. So we'll stack those work orders up on those given days, and our guys can rent the truck in advance. Now it makes sense. Does it make sense to go rent a truck to go do 1, maybe 2 deliveries? Probably not. But if we could stack them up, we'll do that. Now it behooves them. But what happens is, look, I'm going to be honest with you, man. Box trucks, in fact, I'm going to show you this right here. This is from a contractor. Let me pull this up. This is from a contractor who sent this to us last week. I think he got it in New Jersey or PA. He drove up there to pick it up. 14-foot box truck. He's been with us for a while. Finally, saved up his money, got his own. I mean, he's investing in his own box truck. I didn't buy this. I'm not paying for it. I didn't pay for him to travel up to Jersey or PA, whichever one. And I didn't pay for him to do this. I mean, but he is, quote unquote, investing in his own business, his own future, or whatever, because he's making money. So, boom, he's carrying the expense and all this. Not me. Let him make the lion's share of each work order. I don't care, because I'm not carrying the burden. Several months back, I shared a picture of one of our guys was literally finished a work order, literally a mile from his house, on the way home. A car comes around the corner, swerves wide. He swerves to miss them. The upper right corner on the passenger side, he clips a low-hanging tree, and it kind of breaks open the corner of his box truck. Understand those box trucks, I mean, they are just plywood, covered by tin. But, I mean, he had to take it out off the road for like a week or something like that, and it got fixed. So, in the interim, he literally went back and he rented a truck. So, he didn't, that was the beautiful thing about it. This cat was so motivated, he didn't even skip a beat. He was down there first thing in the morning. This happened at night. He was down there renting a truck first thing in the morning. He didn't even miss any work orders. Phenomenal. And that's the other beautiful thing about this business, I'll tell you this. Again, I come from the non-emergency medical transportation and home care industry. And when you're dealing with human cargo, as in you're transporting people for hire, you're going to take care of people in their home, you got to be there at a certain time. The beautiful thing about this type of an arrangement is you do it in a window of opportunity. All of you, I'm sure you've all had appliances delivered or something like that, and they give you that 4-hour window. And so you have freedom and flexibility. That's the beautiful thing about this. So anyway, so what do you do if you got a contractor who can work but doesn't yet own? Rent. And again, I go back to our contractors who I know for 1,000,000% certainty they sub out our work. A lot of those guys they sub to, they go out and they rent trucks. And that's a volume, but would you do that for one? No, it's a volume thing. It's common sense. It's the laws of economics. So all right, let's try to get to a couple more here before I shut this thing down, because I know I'm long-winded here. So I'm a bit overwhelmed by everything, the different types of revenue, because there are. Which should I focus on first? Deliveries, express moves, labor, other. Very good question. It really comes down to what opportunities you have before you. Maybe you got a great connection. Maybe you personally know John Doe, who's a great connection in one of those stores, and you want to leverage that. Then you want to go and you want to start doing those deliveries. Someone goes in, they purchase mattresses, living room suite, appliances. They have no way of getting them home. They're not a lot of those stores, they do not want to offer delivery. It's a liability for them. So they'll outsource it to someone. That's where you come in with this. And that's what we do. So that's the ideal setup. A lot of people ask us about Lowe's and Home Depot. The reason why we have yet to partner in any type of a great capacity with Lowe's or Home Depot is because they have no problem contracting with us. What they want to mandate that all of our staff and employees and labor are employees. I'm not doing that. Just like a long time ago, a couple years back, we were solicited to get involved and start doing mail work, mail deliveries, U.S. mail. Well, they got no problem. They'll sub it to us, but they want to mandate that our business only has employees and not contractors. Well, I'm not doing that. For those of you who've seen our P&Ls and the number and what we're doing, I mean, nothing tells me I need to do that. I'm not desperate. I don't need to do that. We're doing exceptionally well. Nothing's telling me I need to change my business model and go get employees right now. Nothing. Let's see where I'm at here. Okay, so going back to your question, I'm a bit overwhelmed by everything, different types of revenue. What should I start with first? So again, to give you a quick crash course history lesson, if you haven't watched all the previous videos, when I got into this gig, a good friend of mine who's now since passed, he gave us the idea of easing into it. My goal, my vision was to duplicate what Dexter was doing, and that was focus on the express moves. He was doing all the what we call express moves. He wasn't calling it that, but he was doing the moving, helping people downsize, moving into independent and assisted living communities. So people were downsizing, and he had a great little niche. So he's leveraging his NEMT business as a platform and the contacts he had to build his broker business. And that's where I found the inspiration, but that's where I had no prior experience. So that's where, again, a friend of mine suggested we start with the deliveries so we can ease into these express moves, become acclimated to the process. And to our surprise, every single year until last year, 2020, every single year to our surprise, our deliveries was the highest yield as compared to our express moves, which was number 2. But this past year with the scamdemic, this was the first year where it flipped. So again, we were down 42%, almost 42% at one point in time. And we came raging back because we started leveraging a different platform to harvest work orders out of. And most of those were different types of express moves, haul offs and labor only jobs. So they worked out really well for us. So, but that was an anomaly. It'll be interesting to see what happens throughout the rest of this year. Off to a good start. Pleased with everything so far. But, what should you start out with first? It really comes down to local market dynamics, any existing relationships you might have, any relationships you might be able to build and cultivate. Do I want you to bite off more than you could chew? Of course not. The one thing I cannot stand with newbies in any business is they go out there and they promise the world. They tell everybody. It's just like your contractors, who I talked about. They're going to tell you, I've been doing this for 10 years. Oh, sure, I could do this, I could do that. All bark, no bite. They overpromise and they underdeliver. You want just the opposite. You want to be able to underpromise and overdeliver. But again, one of the good things is that when you become an active licensee, when we ship you your training material, you're going to get a specific DVD that's going to talk about how we started leveraging this other platform. Now, we pay for those leads, but we're getting a really good ROI on it, so I'm very well pleased. So how should I market my business? That's a good tie into what I just said. When you get the training material, you're gonna get one of the specific DVDs, and there talks about in detail this other third-party platform we've been leveraging and how we've actually further customized our software system, Fetch Mazo, to accommodate the methodology and process of that platform. So it's been great for us. So how do I market my business? Well, first, you're definitely going to leverage that platform for sure. Again, now those are some leads you're going to pay for, but I'm going to show you how to do it very strategically. So, you don't want to waste any money for sure. But you're going to get a very good ROI. But in terms of marketing, again, it's going to come down to, there's different types of clients. Bottom line, you're going to have different type of retail stores, corporate clients, independent. Think about this. I mentioned before, we have agreements and arrangements with different types of management companies that manage big apartment complexes. We're talking hundreds of units. So we do work with them. Now, we partner directly with the management company, so it's almost like they sub it to us, which is great. And yeah, they get a kickback. I'm not gonna lie. That's part of the creativity, if you will. Let everybody win. I want win-win solutions for everybody. My point is, the way I approach these management companies, do you think it's going to be different the way I approach a store who's going to do just simple referrals? So when a husband and wife team come in and they purchase a living room suite or mattresses and they don't have a truck to get it home, or they don't have the capacity, and that store just wants to make a simple referral, do you think approaching them is going to be different than the way we approach like management companies or storage malls and things like that? Of course, it's all different. And again, there's so many different types of and opportunities, so many different types of revenue. It's a different methodology for each, and that's something we're going to talk about in detail in the training material. So how you market is going to be different. Now, if you do need us to help you in building a website, not a problem. Our guys can definitely do that. Now, when we do, they're going to literally, you become an active licensee. If my media team makes the website for you, they're also going to they're going to customize the exact marketing materials that I use in my broker business. Understand there's a difference. There's a difference between my broker business and youarethebroker.com. But my broker business, I own that by myself exclusively, and that's what's building and growing. Youarethebroker.com, I obviously have partners in. You would be investing in youarethebroker.com training system, which is based upon everything I do in my broker business. So you could argue that my broker business is like the sandbox, the beta tester, if you will. So if my media team builds the website for you, you're also going to get the free marketing materials, which is exact same marketing material that I use in my personal broker business. Can I speak with one of your regional directors before I join? Yeah, I don't have a problem with that. I think it's a good opportunity for you to talk with one of my RDs ahead of time. I got no problem with that. Depending on where you're located, we'll try to get you hooked up with in your situation. We'll get you hooked up with somebody, one of my RDs, who can. Here's my concern, and this is always what scares me about this stuff is you got to be respectful of people's time. Bottom line. Back in the day, when we first launched youarethebroker.com and started getting active licensees, we had them featured on our website. What better testimonial is there than having active licensees on there, and then people can reach out to them? And that in my Mary Poppins world, I thought, okay, this is going to be great, win-win, and they'll be able to talk to people and help them. The problem is that 99.9% of the people just totally fail to lose the concept of respect for time. So we had to take those down, because think about it. If you personally are working to build and grow your business, do you want random calls, random solicitations from people? And then the problem we were having, it'd be one thing if it was one call for 5 or 10. Hey, what do you think of Joel? Oh, he's an international sex symbol. Yeah, he's cool. And I get that. But then there's people who call back again and again for other questions, and it's almost like they're trying to get them to do the how-to, and it bogs them down, and it's a distraction. So we had to take all that stuff down, because it's a privacy issue. Bottom line, it's a privacy/respect issue. People want their privacy. They want to focus on building their business, and then it's complicated compounded by people who just don't have a respect of other people's time and privacy, and they're calling and they're asking all that stuff. People don't have time for that. So we need to be respectful of your time as well. When it comes to, by all means, I got no problem. Only if you're serious about moving forward. We're not doing this. What we would have to do is, Amelia's great. She's been with me. She works with me. She's been with me for a few years now. Works directly with me, my broker business. Helps us with youarethebroker.com. So by all means, correspond with her. She's always accessible. I want to say it's Amelia R. Daniels at yahoo.com. Amelia R. Daniels at yahoo.com. Engage with her. We can help to coordinate that and facilitate you talking with an RD ahead of time. But again, my RDs are actual contractors. They're running crews. So let's not get it twisted. That's the beautiful thing about this, is that you're going to be working with one of my RDs who is actually a contractor. So if you don't have prior experience, how valuable of an asset do you think they're going to be to your business? Not only are you going to get all the training materials, you can start learning and studying and all that kind of good stuff, but when you become an active licensee, you got them for a full year. You're going to want to pick their brain, because just the little subtle nuances that you wouldn't have thought of, you wouldn't have known, they're going to know because they've been in the game a long time. They're actual contractors. They've done all these different types of projects, work orders. They manage other contractors. They're going to tell you, you don't want to have someone like this. You want to get someone like that. You want to run them like this. You want to organize it like that. You want to schedule it like this. You want to pick it up here first. This is how you want to do it. All those little subtle nuances are just priceless. So that's why you want to leverage them for the full year. So again, understanding that they're active contractors, they're running crews. 5 of the 6 are working with us with youarethebroker.com. So they're actually working with actual licensees. So they're busy with that as well. That's part of the reason why you pay a nice little pretty penny to become an active licensee, because a large portion goes to them for the one-on-one coaching for a full year. But you got to be respectful of their time. So I got no problem. If you're serious, we can facilitate that. We'll get an RD to contact you, answer some of your questions, things like that. But again, you just be respectful, because they're doing their thing. They're putting food on their table. They're working hard. They don't have time for nonsense. How soon can I recoup my initial investment? Well, how soon are you going to start working, and how hard are you going to work? Bottom line. It's a great question. It's a great question. It's a common question, and you should always be. Anytime I make an investment in anything, I'm always thinking, okay, how soon am I going to get an ROI? And I get that. I understand that. But there's so much hidden meaning, hidden variables behind that. If you get this and you do nothing, well, you start the clock, because you're going to be waiting a long time till you get an ROI. Bottom line. Then we got other people, it's like, dude, you slow to be cool. They're so motivated, but that's what I want. I'd rather be in a situation where I got to pull back the reins to slow you down, keep things in perspective, versus other people you got to poke and prod to move forward. And you're like, dude, what are you wasting your time? Why do you waste your money? Why are you wasting your time? I always go back to, for those of you who've been with me for many, many years, one of my favorite quotes I always use from Martin Luther King. You don't need to see the entire staircase to take the first step. And then things can start to begin to fall into place. I just love that. You don't need to see the entire staircase before you take the first step. So many people who will contact us, not just for youarethebroker.com or in your broker business, but the other industries. People will contact us. And one of the key reasons why we don't answer the phone as readily as we used to is because we're so inundated with people with just redundant questions, and so much of it is just hidden in fear. Some people, their safety is not in launching and leaving the docks and going off into the open sea. So many people stay holding on to that dock. They don't want to leave. They just want to be in planning mode. So many people who I've worked with all these years in my consulting business, with home care, EMT, some people with the broker, they find their safety in planning. Well, did you start yet? No, still haven't made any money yet. I launched my NEMT business. No, we launched in 2017. No, well, we're still planning. We're in the planning stages. It's 3 years, it's 4 years later. What are we doing? At some point in time, we need to take the first step. I don't need to be worrying about the 20th step. That's too far up the staircase. I don't need to see the entire staircase to take the first step. It's so applicable. I love that. So how soon can you recoup your initial investment? How soon do you get moving? How soon do you get moving? And then it really is a numbers game. And again, I'll go back to all the way towards the beginning where I talked about I pay my guys generously. There's no question. Would I tell you to start out with paying guys, 75-25 split? Probably not. Probably not. And again, the vast majority of our contractors, we're going to start them at 65%, which already is higher. And then we incrementally will bump them up over time. And all those nickels and dimes, they all add up. They all add up. So how soon can you see your investment? I'm going to be honest with you. You start lining up work orders, things are going to start flowing pretty quick. It's all about gaining traction. And, I've said this before, and I'll say this again, regardless of industry. The hardest part is getting that first employee. In this instance, it's getting that first contractor, getting that first customer, that first account. Once you get one, then there'll be a little lag. I remember, especially when I was starting my NEMT business. Now, my broker business, I'm going to be honest with you, my broker business grew faster. I kind of threw money at it, put myself out there. I spent a couple weeks down there, was out there soliciting people, lining things up. But I remember years upon years ago when I first launched my first business, my NEMT business. I got my very first client. She was over 100 years old. I believe she was 101. So I got that trip. Then you'd wait 3 days. Then you get another one. Wait 3 days. Then you get two. Then you wait 1 day. Then you had another trip. Then you wait 4 days. And you're like, man, I just had these. Now I don't have anything. And then little by little, it just slowly but surely, you're building the relationships. People don't like change. So by demonstrating you're serious, demonstrating good customer service, demonstrating that you're reliable, professional, you're on time, little by little it starts to build, grow, compound, and I call it breaking the floodgates. You're building up that pressure behind the wall, and all of a sudden you start to see the cracks, the water starts to come out, and then all of a sudden you're busy, you're starting to pick up, and all of a sudden things just start to blow up. And that's what happens. I could guarantee you that's what happened back with my NEMT business. That's definitely what happened in my broker business. Because again, it's like we don't even have to recruit contractors. If anything, when we get new ones, sometimes we're in a situation where we're like, okay, well, let's get some work going his way. Let's keep him in the game. I want to keep, you talk to some of my RDs, I tell them I want you to spread the wealth because I want to keep my guys in the game. The more money they're making, because I don't want my RDs. Let's say they're managing a crew of 8 to 10 guys. Do I want them only focus on their buddies, the top 2 or 3 guys? Maybe if there's big job, but share the wealth, man. Show some love to your crew. Now, if you got some part-timers in your crew that do part-time work here and they got their own thing on the side, or maybe we got some guys that work full-time jobs, doing whatever, working in a grocery store, working, in a lumberyard, whatever. And they do evenings, weekends with us, or like they'll do 4 days with us, 3 days with their job. I got no problem with that stuff for guys to do that. But to the best of your ability, I tell my guys, hey, share the love, spread the wealth, because I want everybody making money. Because when they do, they're engaged and they want to stay in the game. That's why we keep people longer. So, listen, I apologize. I went way longer than I thought I was going to, and we got a couple more questions, but I think I'm going to lose my voice here in a minute, but I went way longer than I wanted to. So anyways, again, thank you all for your great questions. If you have more questions, feel free to reach out to Amelia R. Daniels at yahoo.com. She'll do her best to answer your questions. If there's something she doesn't know, she'll ask me or ask one of our guys, and we'll get it done. Either way, we'll get you an answer. So thank you all for enduring my long video, but I hope you got some good golden nuggets for those of you who are serious about diversifying, building a business where you kind of control everything and you don't own anything, so you're not carrying that expense. I always call it the cash-rich, asset-poor business. So if you're serious about building something like this, I hope you're able to take away some golden nuggets with this. So if you have any questions, reach out to Amelia, shoot her an email. She's great. She'll respond fairly quick, and we'll take it from there. So dive in. This is a great opportunity. It's been a great ride for us, great opportunity for us. We're only going to continue to grow and build. I'm not going to lie. Last year threw us for a loop because I literally at one point in time, I'm like, man, I'm down 42% compared to last year when we had to do this self-imposed shutdown. and we just came raging back in a different way. So it's been great. So stay involved. I hope you enjoyed the video. Study the material. Study the material. I'm going to put this last caveat on before I run. Please, I made all the mistakes, so you don't have to. I promise you, I've wasted all the money in the past, so you don't have to. All the material is exactly what I've done and exactly what I do. In fact, some of the training material is built upon itself. So you could see some of the transition. Why do I do that? So you could see the stepping stone. So you could see that, okay, I may not be able to start here, but I could start my business right here. So understand, our package, our training material only continues to grow as our business becomes more dynamic. Because I don't want you to miss anything. So I want you to study everything. I've already made the mistake. So please, I have one licensee up in Michigan. One of the stupidest things I've ever seen. He was using like 3 different software systems. Why? Why would you do this? He's trying to reinvent the wheel. Number one, he's paying more money to try and reinvent the wheel to do different things. Well, I thought if I do this, and I'll use that, and I can thought if I'm telling you what works. I'm telling you what works. Look, here's our success. And then the second thing is he wasn't charging enough. So now, number one, he's already paying too much because he's trying to do all these redundant resources. And he's not charging enough. So it's like, all right, we already know coming out of the gate we have less meat on the bones than we want. And then we're going to spend more money than we have to. And then he's one of those guys that thought if you said it, you could forget it. As in like, I'm just going to assign this to an office person. I'll just throw her and let her do it. You go run this business. Dude. Stop. That is not the way you start and run this business. I have already made all the mistakes, so you don't have to. So my point is, please follow what I show you and I teach you in the training material. Definitely listen to my RDs, because they wouldn't be my RDs. They wouldn't be doing what they're doing if they weren't legit and serious, and they're my top earners. Love it. Love it. So follow what we do. When you do, I'll see you at the top.